Hello, small correction or clarification. Welcome to my channel Je réfléchis. I did my first volume. Maybe I don't think I did a bit of error, but for sure in my second volume I'm gonna upload after this video because I already recorded. I did a bit of mistake and maybe a bad utilization about a wording. So I want to clarify for you and to apologize because I want to give you the best to learn. So I will clarify as fast as possible. So it's about the wording between burn, fuel step, and fraction of fuel step. Okay, so for example, we get this rocket. Imagine I got a radiator, so the rocket is flyable. My net thrust is 9, my base thrust, and imagine I put, so my mass is 7, and imagine I put 2 fuel tank. So 2 fuel tank. So now I got 9 minus 1 because of the weight net thrust. Okay, but that's not the point. There is no modifier about the fuel consumption. So I know that every burn need 2 fuel step or step of fuel each burn. So 1 step of fuel, 1 step of fuel, 1 burn. 1 step of fuel, 1 step of fuel, 2 burn. Okay? 2 burns. Normally I didn't make a mistake about this. It's more about after burning with a terawatt thruster, but I prefer to clarify because I was a bit messy in my head maybe. For example, imagine this rocket. It's not the case, but the rocket is 1 mass, 1 dry mass, and I put just 1 fuel tank. In that case, we don't care about the net thrust. I want to do 2 burns. So I got 1 step of fuel, 2 step of fuel, it's 1 burn. 1 step of fuel, 1 step of fuel, 2 burns. Okay, so the step of fuel, there is the black line between indicators. So here 1 step of fuel, but here 1 step of fuel, or between this and this 1 step of fuel, or between this and this 1 step of fuel. Normally you understood. Okay, now we got a case of fraction of step of fuel, and that's important because maybe I used bad wording. Imagine my rocket is flyable, we don't care about support, not really care about mass and everything, but and base thrust or net thrust. We're gonna say we got 3 net thrust, and now you can see we got a modifier. So it's very important to remind us that every burn costs us 2 steps of fuel. And this modifier is it's a fraction of the step of fuel. Okay? So, and you will understood when I'm gonna show you with a terawatt thruster and after burning, because that's where I did a bit of mistake on the volume 2. So this fraction is for the 2 step of fuel. So if I don't want to do 1 burn, it's gonna be, for example, if we are here, because it's normally it's 2 step of fuel, but now it's a fourth step of fuel. So normally it's 1 2 step of fuel for 1 burn, but now because it's a force, so it's 1 burn 2 burn, okay, because it's the fraction of the step of fuel. It's very important because now when you want to afterburn, for example, because when you afterburn it's to add plus 1 net thrust, so it's every time, I mean for standard thruster it's plus 1 net thrust and you need to pay this number as step of fuel, okay, so it's not related to this, it's independent, so it can be 1 2 I don't think 3, but maybe. So for example I want to add 1 net thrust and I need to pay 1 step of fuel for the afterburn. Then if I don't have the modifier, I need to pay every burn 2 steps of fuel. So 1 burn, and for example, I'm here, 2 burn, because I spent 2 steps of fuel. But if I was there, and I was here, if I want to afterburn, I need to spend for the afterburning 1 step of fuel, then I'm spending the corresponding number of steps of fuel per burn. So 1 2 steps for 1 burn, 1 2 steps for 1 burn. Okay, and the main problem where maybe it was a bit confusing about my terminology or when I explained, it was the fraction. And when you afterburn for the fraction. So for example here, I want to afterburn and I did the mistake. So in the case of standard thruster, you burn, I mean you expend this number as a step of fuel. So I need to expend 1 step of fuel to add my 1 net thrust. Then I will refer to this modifier to know how much I burn fuel or I expend step of fuel per burn. So for example, I expend 1 step of fuel complete for the afterburning stuff, but now I want to move my rocket, so every time I want to move, it's a fourth of this step of fuel number. So it's 0.5, if I can say that. So 0.5 is 1 burn, 2 burn, 3 burn, 4 burn, for example. So it's very different. I want it to be clear because I made a mistake with this gigawatt thruster. It was not this one, maybe because I don't remember. Oh, it was this one, maybe. Yeah, it was this one. I don't remember, but maybe I made a mistake because I wanted to afterburn, but I don't have afterburn, first of all. And or maybe it was not this one, I don't remember. But if you want to pay the cost with isotope, it's the same. You put, for example, fuel tank with isotope. So I want to put 2 isotope, so 2 fuel tanks. And now every burn, I got 12 burn, every burn cost me 1/3 of step of fuel. So it's a fraction of 1 step of fuel. And remember, the step of fuel is the black line between these two data. Okay? So 1/3, 1/3, 3/3. I mean 1/3. So it's 1 step of fuel, and it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So it's a complete. So it's 3 burn. Okay? and 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, it's another 3 burn, because every burn cost me 1/3 of a step. And if it was able to afterburn, the main difference between the gigawatt thruster and or the terawatt thruster and the standard thruster is, normally I explained it, but you spend one step of fuel. It's not the number anymore. You spend one complete step of fuel, and after you had the number of net thrust. It's the opposite, if I can say that. But when you want to move, it's a bad example, but if I had an afterburn on this side, so I did one complete step of fuel for afterburn, and after I consume the amount indicated here. So 1/3 per 1/3 of a step per burn. So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, it's 3 burn. But I need to consume one full step of fuel to afterburn. And I did the error on the volume 2. So I prefer to be maybe clearer. I don't know if it was. But yeah, it was a bit messy in my head, and I did the mistake to, I mean, I was a bit tired. Like, 1/3 is not the step of fuel. It's a fraction of a complete step of fuel. And in my mind, I don't know, maybe because I'm not English, or I don't know, I was tired. I was like, the third, oh, it's a step of fuel. No, it's not the step of fuel. It's a third of a step of fuel, okay? Because the step of fuel is this, or this, or this. Okay, so I hope it was a bit clearer. Feel free to give a comment. If you are interested to come in France, close to the beach or not too far, I got a guest house and I will make a video about it in French because how can I say that? We got multiple activities around, and I got because I got many board games. We had if I can say that, gaming part in the experience. So we are renting a room in the house. It's like a guest house. We are living all together, so we can play together. I can play with my guests sometimes, and I want to do more about that, because normally we are more about lake, ocean, surfing and everything. But I'm a player, so if we got guests who like to play, why not? So if you are interested to know more about this, let me know. Yeah, sorry, it's a bit of ads. I don't know how do you say this in English. Bit of ads. But if you are interested, I can do the same in English, or I can give you the information in a private message. I hope it's going to be clear. Give a comment, a thumb, a like. For me, it's appreciated. And I hope it's helping some people, despite my bad English. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.